The story of the Walls of Jericho is one of the most famous and dramatic narratives in the Bible, found in the book of Joshua, chapter 6. It is a powerful account that illustrates themes of obedience, faith, and God's miraculous power. The setting. After the death of Moses, Joshua is chosen by God to lead the Israelites into the Promised Land. The first major obstacle they face is the city of Jericho, a heavily fortified city that stood as a gateway to the land of Canaan. The city's walls were formidable, seemingly impenetrable to a conquering army. God's instructions. Instead of a conventional military strategy, God gives Joshua a set of very specific and unusual instructions. The plan was not based on human strength or military might, but on faith and obedience. God commanded, preparation. Take the Ark of the Covenant and 7 priests with 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the Ark of the Lord. The march. The entire army was to march silently around the city of Jericho once a day for 6 days. The armed men were to lead, followed by the priests carrying the ark and blowing their trumpets, with the rear guard following behind. The final day. On the 7th day, they were to march around the city 7 times. The final act. After the 7th march on the 7th day, the priests would blow a long blast on their trumpets. At this signal, the entire army was to shout a mighty war cry. The miracle. The Israelites followed God's instructions precisely. They marched in silence for 6 days, a silent and faith-filled act of obedience in the face of the enemy. On the 7th day, they performed the final ritualized march. After the 7th lap, the priests blew the trumpets and the people shouted. When the trumpet sounded, the army shouted, and at the sound of the trumpet, when the men gave a loud shout, the wall collapsed, so everyone charged straight in, and they took the city. Joshua 6:20 NIV. The walls of Jericho did not just crumble in one place, they collapsed completely, providing a clear path for the Israelite army to enter and conquer the city. Aftermath and key lessons. The commandment for the city. God had given a strict command for the city. Everything was to be devoted to the Lord for destruction, or devoted to the ban, a form of consecration. The city's inhabitants were to be destroyed, and nothing from the city was to be taken as plunder, with the exception of the metal objects, which were to be brought into the treasury of the Lord's house. Rahab's deliverance. As promised in Joshua chapter 2, the spies had been protected by the woman Rahab. Her house, which was built into the city wall, was spared from the destruction, and she and her family were saved because of her faith in God. The curse on Jericho. After the city was destroyed, Joshua pronounced a curse on anyone who would attempt to rebuild it. Cursed before the Lord is the one who tries to rebuild this city, Jericho. At the cost of his firstborn, he will lay its foundations. At the cost of his youngest, he will set up its gates. Joshua 6:26. The story of the Walls of Jericho is a powerful example of how God can work in miraculous ways when his people act in complete faith and obedience. It teaches that victory is not always won through human might or logical strategy, but through divine power and trust in God's plan. It established Joshua's leadership and demonstrated to the Israelites that God was truly with them as they began their conquest of the Promised Land.